Hey everybody, in this video I'm going to talk about split personality, mainly what some people we used to call it split personality. We did not call it multiple personalities. We didn't call it, and these days, dissociative identity disorder. Back then it was more multiple personality disorder. I believe that was the term for it, the diagnosis. And but you know, like back then it wasn't used for something like Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde, although that would be true, but not that kind of situation when we would use it to say somebody has a split personality. Really, the split personality and two-faced, when we would say somebody was two-faced, they basically were a bit of the same. They could be used interchangeably. Somebody, you know, with a split personality, they may say one thing and do another. You know, like two-faced, maybe they would, you know, they would say one thing but basically do another, or they would say one thing to your face. They were very insincere. To your face, a two-faced person would say, you know, that they agree with you on an issue, say you're at work or wherever, and they would agree with you on that issue. And then they'd go and talk to somebody else, and they would say, yeah, I don't like their, you know, they don't like your way of thinking about it. Okay, and then they go and do smear campaign. Now, see, I see that more as a histrionic behavior. You know, like there's in the cluster B and the DSM, cluster B personality disorders. There's narcissistic personality disorder, histrionic personality disorder, borderline personality disorder, and antisocial personality disorder. Well, histrionic, you know, some would just pile everything under narcissistic, but histrionic, what I have seen myself, not diagnosing anybody with that disorder, but it would include this kind of thing, this being two-faced, and it can come off as seeming like split personality. Like if somebody is sitting there and they're watching, it's like a ping pong match. If they could see, okay, they were with this, you know, this person, they walk with this person, and the person's telling you, you know, I'm not saying you, but you know what I'm saying. They would tell you, yeah, I agree, I love your way of presenting it, I love your way of doing it. And then that person is walking with that person again, and they go to somebody else and they say, I really hate the way that person does it. You know, they say, wow, ping pong match here. And then they go back and forth and back and forth. I've seen that more in people who have more histrionic behaviors, especially the thing of needing so much to be the center of attention. They don't care how they get it. Their way they are dressed. Everything about them is loud, usually. Not all of them do the same. Not one size doesn't fit all. But they're very loud in their appearance. They're very loud in their, like, everything from clothing to makeup to bling to, you know, so forth. Their laughter is more of a cackle, and it's very loud, and their voice is very loud. They want people to look at them. They don't care, you know, what they're not looking for only positive attention. And anybody who gives them negative attention, they'll usually say something like, "Oh, they're just haters," or they will blame them. You know, something that's wrong with them that they would be, you know, where they don't see that as a good thing. You see. Okay, now, you know, one of the reasons I say this is, you know, people with histrionic behaviors may have meet this criteria. They're very susceptible to they're very easily influenced by somebody else. So say this person comes to you and says, you know, I really like the way you present this, or you do this job, whatever it is. Then they go to the next person, and the next person shows them how they're doing it, and they say, oh, I really like the way you do yours. And not so much with the other person. See, they change so, you know, so easily. You just change it. So, you know, so you could see somebody who's two-faced. You know, they're saying they like yours, but then they're saying they like theirs, and they don't like yours. So, and even a split personality now, what about that? That, you know, you can think of what some people call covert narcissist. Okay, behind the scenes, they look one way. And in front of others, they look another way. You know, behind the scenes, you know, say that it's a man and his wife, and he treats her, you know, he's very narcissistic toward her, very rather somehow abusive. I still have a problem with people piling everything under narcissistic abuse. But let's say, he exploits her. And then with other people, he doesn't. Other people, he looks like the best thing since sliced bread, And he's very nice. He's very, very, like he's the nice guy, the nicest guy. And some might say, well, maybe that's even a split personality right there. Okay, now I basically threw this up for question before. Can a narcissistic person or not a narcissistic person have a narcissistic alter, like in dissociative identity disorder? Can they have an alter? Well, Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde here, And how about the other way? A narcissistic person has an alter. The narcissistic person is the host and has an alter as someone who is not. And could that be quite a bit of what's happening with, with narcissistic people? That there is, because even with the people that are covert narcissist has, say, that husband and his wife, sometimes he's good to her. And some people want to say that that's just his way of keeping, keeping his supply. They call it narcissistic supply. But what if instead it's a multiple personality thing? And the alter comes out every blue moon, whichever the alter is, the narcissistic one, the abusive one, or the not. Okay, and they can have more than one alter. Now, I've never been really that much of a fan of alters, of thinking and dissociative identity disorder, multiple personalities. Never was one that truly believed that. I'm very skeptical about it all. But what if? I mean, if you're going to define something that way, that they have alters, why can't it be that a narcissistic person has alters? I mean, there's no limit here. They can't. Maybe they can. Maybe they. And when a narcissistic person is their alter that goes out and works and everything, doesn't, it's the one that actually goes out and works. Okay, goes and does the job, and the alter is a good, decent person. That alter, but the narcissistic person waits till they get home, or just the host doesn't come out. Flip-flop them, okay, flip-flop them. Why can it not be? It can, if you ask me. My opinion, I'm a social and behavioral scientist. My opinion is, if you're going to accept multiple personalities, alters, your host and the alter and the whole dissociative identity disorder kind of thing, why can't you accept that a person with narcissistic behaviors can and cannot? Why would you accept that they can't have multiple personalities? You see? Okay, pardon the starting to drizzle. And the way I'm doing this, sometimes I have to do my videos like this because, like right now, it's going to start raining and possibly storming. And it's too noisy inside, and I go to a park or something like that, there's usually too many children, and I don't put other people's children in my videos. So anyway, now, if you are a skeptic, if you don't, believe a person who is narcissistic, they have, like people say, the mask slips. Okay, what are masks? If we're going, to me, I'm just saying this, I may change my mind the more I learn about it, because I really am not that into the whole thought of multiple personalities, like true personalities. Maybe there's a spectrum or a continuum, and some way down here that would just be called, oh, you're just two-faced, or to put it in that way, you just have a split personality sometimes. And sometimes they behave, but it's not their whole personality. It's not something that affects their job and their livelihood and their relationships and so on and so forth. But at the same time, maybe just a little bit, not a whole bit. See what I'm saying? And But really, my thought is if a person can think of in terms of a person having multiple personalities, split personalities, alters, the host has alters that they are not aware of, and I have said this in another video, that whenever they say that they never said that, maybe it's an alter that said that or did that. And they, boom, they switch back to a regular person. Maybe the stress was so harsh, like, you know, when they did something wrong and they were found out that the bad side of them, they, boom, they switched back to the other one or another one. You see, and they don't remember it. I can't see that these would be necessarily should be separated in this sense. You know, in this kind of thing, whenever their behaviors are that of they don't remember. And some people say, oh, well, they just know. Well, let's stop that. They just. And really think about it. Could it be that it was an alter? It wasn't the host, or maybe it was the alter and not the host. Wait, I said that twice. Did I say it right? It's either going to be the host or the alter. What is, or one of the alters. They may have more than one alter that is narcissistic, more than one alter that's abusive, more than one that's good and decent, so on and so forth. If you're going to accept that there are some people who have multiple personalities, or just a split personality. Now, I'm thinking when people say split personality, there's just one, there's just two. Now, multiple can mean 2, 3, 4, 5, and so on. See. Okay. Now, some of this is on my mind because I am writing these series, and one of my characters she has, and others have, a suspicion that she has alters. You know, that she has dissociative identity disorder. And people suspect it. Like I said, suspect it. That's Amanda. And that some of them just are a bit, like one of them would just be a bit more racy, okay? A bit more, you know, like Amanda is just kind of a good, decent person. And she never wants to do any harm. You know, she knows she came from a dysfunctional family, really doesn't want to have much to do with them. Sometimes, you know, at her age, I'm not sure how old, I've made her somewhere in her 50s, I think. And, you know, she doesn't really want to have much to do with them, but they still, because of all the abuse she felt with them, you know, from the dysfunctional family, that the ones that are still alive, you know, like her siblings, and it still affects her life. And so that I'm blending in with this of suspicion of her having multiple personalities. Or, like I've been saying, is it just, well, I haven't actually been saying this. You know, people who have mood swings. Okay, one minute they feel this way, and then the next minute they feel all happy and joyful and everything, and the next minute they're down in the dumps, you know, in a funk. You know, they just don't feel like, no, that's not good. And just before then they were wonderful, it's great, everything is just so beautiful. And no, it's not. You see, it's the mood, or the mood is that, I need to look up the definition of moods. Seriously, what different kinds of moods a person can have. And because it's kind of like personality and emotions and feelings, and those we use interchangeably so much these days. Some people, not everybody, of course. Nobody, none of this, like I said, is everybody in any of this, any of my videos. Okay, but what if it is just a mood swing? What if it is even something like if a person doesn't do it quite often, or a person has a health condition like, I'm not a doctor, I'm not a healthcare professional, so don't take me on my word for it, but I am a diabetic. And like if somebody has diabetes, I've heard enough people, I've known enough people who have it, and what people they know even say too, is that sometimes they can feel real good and they eat the wrong thing and they can go bad or good. Like just earlier today, I'm diabetic. I'm type 2. I need to be on insulin, actually. And I hadn't eaten it, and it was close to 2 o'clock. And it was just a very strange day for me all around. And I hadn't had a chance to eat any carbohydrates. I don't take insulin right now. I need to be on it. I want to be on it. And anyway, I hadn't eaten anything with carbohydrates. Again, I'm not a healthcare professional. I don't know if I'm right about this. But plus I have a rare adrenal disorder, so what works for me doesn't work for everybody else, okay? Or it's the cause or any of that. But anyway, I took a long road with that. But I didn't eat any carbs, and I was hangry. I was hangry. H-A-N, is it H-A-N-G-R-Y? Hangry, you know, angry and hungry at the same time, as people call it, hangry, and some people. And I was like, oof, I got this mood. You know, when I'm hungry like that, it's just such a mood. And that happens to me when that kind of situation happens, when I haven't eaten enough carbohydrates. So, okay, and then one of the reasons I'm saying all this is because it's too easy for people to slap a label on somebody or behavior and it be far off from the truth. Seriously, far away from the truth. Like if an actual licensed professional counselor were to have that person as a client, they wouldn't put that diagnosis on them. And there's always a good chance, I mean, not a good chance, but there's always a chance, and this doesn't mean they all do, that another healthcare professional, appropriate one, would diagnose them in a different way. Because think about this, if they have alters, which alter is coming in? Which alter is going to be the one that's going to go through counseling? Which one are ones? So that counselor is not going to be following that person around all day long, and you know, for months to see if they have an alter personality or personalities. You know, so as it gets, yeah, I'm adding a whole lot to this. It can get very confusing because, like I said, you know, we go back to this. Somebody with a split personality, or somebody who's narcissistic. 1 minute they're nice, the next minute they're mean. Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde. You know, two-faced. Say one thing, go to another. Which one is it? Narcissistic? Which one is it? Histrionic? Which one is it? Dissociative? Which one? Yeah. But anyway, I think that's enough for this part. Maybe I'll change my mind later. I don't know. Once I dig more into, you know, dissociative identity disorder and see, read more and study more, we shall see. I'll talk to you on another video. Bye.